This tour begins at Clarence Gate, a short walk from Baker Street, Marylebone or Regent's Park stations, and takes in some of the Regent's Park's most notable sculptures and memorials. From the dramatic fountains and roses of Queen Mary's Gardens through the tranquil spaces of St John's Lodge Gardens, the walk will end by the elegant flower beds of Avenue Gardens, with an option to continue down the boardwalk to the Ready Money Fountain. You will be guided with directions, but may wish to pause this video in order to allow enough time to reach each sculpture. Entering the park through Clarence Gate, bear right and cross the boating lake via the footbridge. Turn left, taking the path which follows the lake, until you come across the first monument, the Regent's Park Bandstand. The structure was originally erected in Richmond Park in the early 1930s, but subsequently moved to the Regent's Park in 1975. The bandstand is now used for various musical performances over the summer months. On the 20th of July 1982, the bandstand was the target of a terrorist attack. The bomb killed 7 bandsmen of the Royal Green Jackets and 24 others were injured during the concert. The pierced frieze around the top was damaged in the blast and never replaced. The bandstand now serves as a memorial to those killed, and a plaque which commemorates the 7 bandsmen is located on its base. The walk continues on the same path out of the gates to the inner circle. Cross over the road and enter Queen Mary's Gardens. Continue into the gardens past the Regent's Bar and Kitchen on your left. Then turn right and take the paved footpath. As you bear left around the bend, you will come across the Begonia Garden, in the centre of which stands the Boy with Frog Fountain. The bronze depicts a young boy crouching on one knee. A small frog spurts water from its mouth whilst the boy gazes at it intently. The figure is by Sir William Reed Dick and was donated in 1936 by Sigismund Goetze, an English painter and philanthropist who lived in Grove House, north of the park. Goetze also funded the garden's magnificent Jubilee Gates. A surplus of £310 was left over after their completion and was put towards the cost of the fountain. Sir William Reed Dick was one of the foremost sculptors of the first half of the 20th century. Born in Glasgow, he trained at the Glasgow School of Art and became an apprentice in a stonemason's yard. He came to London in 1907, exhibited at the Royal Academy in 1908, and became president of the Royal Society of Sculptors. Sir William Reed Dick was also sculptor in ordinary to King George VI, having been knighted by the King's father in 1936. His works include the statue of Franklin Delano Roosevelt in Grosvenor Square and the lion on the Menin Gate at Ypres. He offered the Boy with Frog figure to the board of Her Majesty's Office of Works at Goetze's instigation. The design of the granite pedestal and surrounding curb was prepared by Sir John Burnet. However, the Architects Department of Her Majesty's Office of Works felt that Portland stone would be a more suitable material. The use of black granite for the pedestal was felt to be inappropriate for a garden, as it would be both lugubrious in itself and discordant with its surroundings. However, after the sculptor threatened to withdraw his offer, they gave in and the pedestal was made of finished granite worked in Aberdeen. Continue to the end of the paved footpath, then turn right to reach the garden's central path or boardwalk. At the end of the boardwalk, you will find the Triton Fountain. Sigismund Goetze had wanted the vista from the Jubilee Gates to be completed by a fountain at the other end of what was then a long gravel approach. He gifted the pool just before his death in 1939, and his widow Constance commissioned the Triton Group as a memorial to him. Because of the Second World War, the fountain was not installed until 1950, when it was awarded the Gold Medal of the Royal Society of Arts for the best sculpture exhibited in London that year. An inscription around the edge of the pool reads, "In memory of Sigismund Christian Hubert Goetze, 1860 to 1939, painter, lover of the arts and benefactor of this park." The bronze group situated in a large circular pool is by William Macmillan R.A. and depicts Triton, son of Poseidon, the Greek god of the sea. Half human and half fish, he lived at the bottom of the sea and is often portrayed riding on seahorses or other monsters. He blew a conch shell, like his father, to calm or raise the waves as necessary, and to frighten away any giants who thought it was the sound of a dark wild beast. The figure of Triton is flanked by 2 mermaids, and water spouts from the mouths of several fish, as well as from the conch shell into which Triton blows. A sculptor of great distinction, Macmillan is probably best known for the Royal Air Force Memorial on Victoria Embankment, a tall column topped by a gilt eagle. On the mall, you can see his statue of King George VI, and outside the Foundling Museum, that of Thomas Coram. Macmillan was born in Aberdeen, studied at Gray's Art School and the Royal College of Art from 1908 to 1912, and joined the Artists' Rifles in World War I. In 1919, he was commissioned to design the artwork for World War I campaign medals. A senior Royal Academy member in 1962, he had been Master of the Royal Academy Sculpture School from 1929 to 1941. Turning right at the fountain, follow the curved path past the herbaceous sausage border and take the path on the left that rises slightly through the Mediterranean garden. As you exit the Mediterranean garden, turn left towards the gates onto Chester Road. Turn right and you will find yourself in world-famous Queen Mary's Rose Garden. Turning right at the end of the circular rose garden, you will find The Lost Bow by Albert Hemstock Hodge, RBS. This bronze sculpture depicts a putto wearing a helmet with ornate scrolls and a quiver of arrows on his back. A piece of fabric is draped over the putto's raised right arm and swept backwards in motion. The child is sitting astride a vulture whose head is turned backwards. They are locked in an intense, unbroken gaze. The sculpture depicts the putto reaching back to draw his bow, moments before the inevitable realization that it has been stolen by the vulture, who is hiding the weapon under its talons. Bearing left along the same path, you will soon come across the Mighty Hunter. A pendant to the Lost Bow, the sculpture was also designed by Albert Hemstock Hodge in 1913. The bronze depicts another putto, this time wrestling with a duck. The figure is nude, apart from a sash belt worn around his waist and decorative sandals adorned with ram's heads. The child is struggling to keep hold of the duck, which is raised above his shoulder, fighting to fly away, with its wings outstretched and its beak wide open. Both the Mighty Hunter and the Lost Bow were donated to the gardens in 1938 by Sigismund Goetze, who wrote of them, "For me they possess something of the playful quality of the best period of Italian Renaissance, and I feel sure will prove a great attraction for the general public." Continuing down the same path, towards the lake, you will be able to see what is believed to be a 19th century, possibly earlier, bronze sculpture of a Japanese eagle. The sculpture is situated in the lake and was given to the park in 1974 by Felix Green in memory of his father Edward Green, a highly successful coffee merchant. Coots immediately built a nest at the base of the statue and continue to do so each year. You can get a closer look at the eagle from the Japanese Garden Island, which can be accessed from the other side of the lake via the wisteria-covered bow bridge. Leaving Queen Mary's Gardens through the east gates at Chester Road, turn left and follow the inner circle until you reach the gates to the St John's Lodge Garden. A pergola forms the entrance to the garden, at the end of which is a planted urn on a stone plinth in memory of Anne Sharpley, a prominent investigative journalist of the 1960s who lived in Marylebone. The plinth is inscribed with the words, "In affectionate memory of Anne Sharpley, 1928 to 1989, journalist who loved this garden." As soon as you enter the main part of the garden, you will be able to see the sculpture of Hylas and the nymph. The bronze group of figures, on a Portland stone pedestal set in a stone-rimmed pool, was designed in 1933 by Henry Pegram, R.A. It was the gift of the Royal Academy through the Leighton Fund and replaced a statue of St John the Baptist by William Goscombe John, removed to Cardiff by the Bute family when they left the lodge in 1916. Hylas was a young man who served as Hercules' beloved servant and companion, and voyaged with him and the Argonauts. When Hylas went ashore to look for drinking water, he was lured into the water and pulled down by the admiring water nymphs, disappearing forever. When Hercules went looking for him, he could only find the sound of his voice. Some poets say he was turned into an echo. The sculpture shows Hylas at the tragic moment of entrapment. He struggles in the clutches of a water nymph who grabs his left leg in an attempt to pull him under. The sculptor, Henry Pegram, was the son of a rocking horse maker. He studied at the West London School of Art and the RA schools and was a studio assistant of Sir William Hamo Thornycroft RA for 4 years. A pair of his candelabra can be seen at St Paul's Cathedral, and his Sibylla Fatidica is held in the collection of the Tate. Looking left towards the lodge, you will see a set of stone piers in the 4 corners of the garden. 3 of the piers for the ornamental gates of St John's Lodge were designed in 1894 by Sir William Goscombe John, RA. Until recently, they were all surmounted by putti, each bearing armorial shields of the Bute family, who lived in St John's Lodge until 1916. Today, only 2 of these shield-bearing putti remain. A 4th pier, designed by Harold Youngman, was given by Sigismund Goetze in 1938 to complete the symmetry. Towards the back of the garden, you will find the statue of the goatherd's daughter. The statue in bronze on Portland stone pedestal with a base of Cornish granite was designed in 1932 by Charles Leonard Hartwell RA, whose work includes St George on the St John's Wood roundabout. It depicts a young woman tenderly holding a kid goat under one arm and a long branch, presumably a herding staff, in her other hand. An inscription at the back tells us it was erected in honour of Harold and Gertrude Bailey Weaver by the National Council of Animal Welfare, with the generous cooperation of the sculptor. The inscription in the front reads, "To all protectors of the defenceless." The final sculpture in these special gardens is Russian sculptor Unas Safardia's Awakening. Placed in the secret garden in June 2001, the work was created especially for this site and is in bronze, patinated to match the colour of the other sculptures in the garden. As you leave St John's Lodge Gardens, turn left along the inner circle and left again down Chester Road until you reach the entrance to Avenue Gardens on the right. William Andrews Nesfield designed the gardens, and his plan of 1863 shows 32 tazas and urns. When the gardens were about to be restored in the 1990s, only a few of the original pieces had survived, and research revealed the other designs. Replacement ornaments were moulded from the original, which had been supplied by Austin & Seeley, a Marylebone firm. Nesfield's design had no fountains, but in the restoration, 8 additional fountain pieces were copied from an Austin & Seeley catalogue of the period. At the centre of the right-hand path, you will find the Griffin Taza. The lower part is a later reconstruction, but the vase is the original from 1863 in composition stone by Austin & Seeley. In 1828, Felix Austin started making artificial stone. From 1840, he partnered with John Seeley to produce artificial garden ornaments. The mix is Portland cement, broken stone, pounded marble, and coarse sand. The moulds were bought from a Mr. Powell, who had tried to rival Eleanor Code with a manufactory in Bow, but he went out of business. Supported by Queen Victoria, the firm continued until at least 1872. The gardens are also home to 2 slightly more inconspicuous monuments. The first can be found if you take the path up the mound to the left of the Taza Avenues, where 2 old parish boundary markers can be seen. The second is on the central path of the gardens, a plaque set in a circle of stone, which commemorates the restoration of Nesfield's Avenue Gardens between 1993 and 1996. The inscription reads, "These gardens were designed by William Andrews Nesfield, 1794 to 1871, and created between 1863 and 1865. From this point in the tour, you can choose to end the walk. Both Regent's Park and Great Portland Street Station are a short walk away. Alternatively, you may wish to continue back down the Broad Walk to the Ready Money Fountain, our last stop on this walk. In 1868, writing from India, Khawasji Jahangir Readymoney, a successful Parsi businessman and philanthropist from Bombay, offered to pay for an ornamental fountain, which he requested must be placed in the Regent's Park or Kensington, where a large number of nobility or gentry frequent. He enclosed £1,200, which was equal to the sum a Maharaja friend had paid for a statue in Hyde Park. It was commissioned and erected by the Metropolitan Drinking Fountain and Cattle Trough Association, but there is no attribution to a designer or sculptor. The structure from base to summit stands at 22 feet and is composed chiefly of Sicilian marble intermixed with serpentine and red-polished Aberdeen granite. On 3 sides there are reliefs of Queen Victoria, Prince Albert and the donor. On the north side there is a clock, originally gilt-faced. There is also a lion and a Brahman bull in the midst of their native foliage. The principal front-facing south has a bronze tablet bearing the following inscription. This fountain is the gift of Sir Khawasji Jahangir, companion of the Star of India, a wealthy Parsi gentleman of Bombay, for the protection enjoyed by him and his Parsi fellow countrymen under British rule in India. The fountain was recently restored and conserved with grants from Heritage Lottery Fund, amongst others. The drinking fountain is now worked by laser beams and includes 2 drinking fountains for dogs. This fountain concludes our sculpture walking tour. We really hope you have enjoyed exploring the gardens and have come away with a better insight into the sculptural treasures that Regent's Park has to offer.